This week for Entr, we decided to take you for a trip across Europe by train. Come! I have 4 days, I have an Interrail ticket on my phone and a list of several places I decided to visit. So I packed a few things in my bag, let's see how things go. But since I only have 4 days, I decided to make it simple and go to Ljubljana in Slovenia, making a few stops on the way. So we left Paris this morning and we're heading down to Zurich. Then after Zurich we're catching a night train all the way to Vienna. And once in Vienna we're heading down to Ljubljana in Slovenia. And then we're going all the way back to Paris. It's Monday morning, the train is full, people speak French, coffee's expensive. For the moment, things are kind of familiar. But just before I get to the Swiss border, I am told I have to fill in an ID form. It's mandatory because of the COVID-19 epidemic. This is the first border I am crossing. On the local Swiss train, you have a ringside seat to the Swiss Alps, and it's amazing. I think that's the Geneva Lake, isn't it? I chose to go to Zurich for this time, but when it comes to trains, you can literally go in any direction you want. There are as many paths as there are railways and railway stations. You can go all the way up to Kiruna in Sweden, which is above the Arctic Circle, down south to Italy and Greece, or far east towards the Black Sea and Turkey. But it's time to move on, and I'm heading back to the Zurich train station. As you can see behind me, I'm back in the Zurich station and I am going to catch a night train that's going to take us to Vienna in Austria, which will be our next stop. This time I will get to Vienna quicker and that will save me from booking a night in Zurich, which can be rather expensive. Okay, so we are now on the night train and had a little surprise, because we thought we were going to have a bed, but in fact we just have a seat. So it's going to be a long night until we get to Vienna. It's 7:45, finally got to Vienna, and I must say I didn't get much sleep. Slept on this, which is not super comfortable. Right, I just got to Vienna after a rather rough night on the night train. Slept on the seat. I think I only slept like 3 or 4 hours, so I think I'm going to look for a youth hostel where I can stay and rest for a bit. See you there. Booked a cheap but comfortable youth hostel a few metro stops away from the city centre. And it was really worth it. Vienna is one of the most beautiful European cities with incredible architectural and cultural heritage. There are concert halls, opera houses, palaces, Klimt paintings and culture on every corner. So one piece of advice, if you go there, allow yourself some time or make choices. Don't try and see everything because there's a lot of it. This is a little frustrating, but for me, it's already over and I have an early train tomorrow, so good night. It's going to be a 6-hour trip, so I'm not going to leave on an empty stomach. Fortunately, in Austria, there is a large choice of pastries. This is not a scene from some Harry Potter film. This is a train I took. Pretty cool, huh? It's slow, kind of old-fashioned and pretty empty. It goes deep down in the Austrian countryside and seems to stop at every station. Finally got to the Slovenian border, and I'm used to it now. Passport, health pass, and Interrail pass control. The Interrail tickets are accessible straight from the app Rail Planner, where it's possible to plan your trip and book tickets. For some trains, you have to book in advance, and sometimes pay a little bit extra. I've now spent hours on that train, crossed more cities and didn't see many human beings. Listened to some podcasts, read for a bit, caught up on my sleep, and spent ages just looking out of the window. Got kind of ticked off by a controller, because here in Austria, in the trains and in the metro, you have to wear an FFP mask. I didn't know that. The regulations about the COVID crisis changes from one country to another, and it can be useful to find out about them before leaving. I finally got to Ljubljana, my final destination. No crowds here, no one scrambling to catch the metro. It's one of the smallest capitals in Europe. It also won the prestigious title of European Green Capital in 2016 for having achieved the largest number of sustainable changes in the shortest period of time. Let's go and find out about the Slovenian way of life. It's the end of our journey. I'm back at the Ljubljana train station and I'm now heading back to Paris. I should have been home, but obviously I'm not. There was a delay on the train in Ljubljana, so I missed my connection that was supposed to take me to Paris, and I'm going to spend an extra night in Germany. Actually, I had to change trains twice. Once in a small place called Villach, then in Salzburg. The positive point is that I crossed the Austrian Alps, and that was amazing. So one last piece of advice if ever you plan to travel by train in Europe, don't make your journey too tight. Try and keep 1 or 2 days just in case. It's night time in Stuttgart. I spent the whole day on the train. I'm not going to visit anything. Managed to book a youth hostel at the last minute, which will be the last one, hopefully. I finally managed to catch a train to Paris, but that wasn't easy. For some reason, I couldn't book from the Rail Planner app. I went to the ticket office at the station in Stuttgart, and unfortunately, the man at the ticket office told me that there were no more seats on the trains to Paris. I finally managed to buy a ticket from the French rail operator SNCF, and that was an extra 100 euros. So using an Interrail ticket to travel around Europe isn't as cheap and easy as it seems to be. Just got back to sunny Paris. I travelled over 2,500 kilometers. I visited 3 countries, 3 cities in 4 days, and I spent about 35 hours in the train. But I think this was an interesting experience. I mean, if you like travelling slowly, if you don't mind changing your plans or making your plans in the last minute, it's definitely worth it. I didn't spend more than 400 euros, so it's quite cheap. And other positive point, it's much better for the planet, obviously. During all my journey, I used up to 90% less carbon dioxide than if I'd catched the plane.